Another month has rolled by. That means it is time for another breakdown of the Inside Infinite update. This one for the month of March, consisting of the audio team and what kind of behind the scenes work they've been doing on Halo Infinite. And while there is no new screenshots of in-game stuff, we do have a new piece of concept art and a brand new weapon that's never before been in a Halo game that is absolutely badass, has been confirmed by 343, so you guys are going to want to stick around throughout the entirety of this video so you don't miss any of this juicy news. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm your boy Patman. If you're new here, consider subscribing if you want to stay absolutely up to date on all the latest happenings in the world of Halo. And very much like the previous Inside Infinite updates, we get a look at what the design goals are for the team that's being interviewed in the blog. This time, like I said, being the audio team. And when the audio team was talking about their goals for Halo Infinite, you'll hear a lot of reiteration of the same terms that we heard from previous Inside Infinite updates from either the art and graphics team, the campaign team, even the sandbox team. It seems that they all have very common goals across the entirety of the development team. For example, you hear the words spiritual reboot tossed around a lot again in this update, and they also said they want to recapture the legacy essence of Halo while also strengthening the excitement and impact of Halo's combat, which the audio team believes that they have achieved by basically simplifying the audio design in Halo Infinite. You see, with Halo 4 and 5, the audio team's approach was on detailed sounds. They tried to deliver as much audio detail as possible, capturing pretty much everything that was happening on the screen. However, that kind of backfired on them, and this resulted in way too many sounds consistently playing, which made it more difficult for some of the most important sounds like an enemy's weapon fire or explosions or bullet impacts to really register with the player, which was a common complaint, especially in Halo 5. Now let's talk about one of the exciting new additions from an audio standpoint, and that is the custom-built acoustic simulation system developed from the ground up for Halo Infinite. This system determines how much to filter the sound around obstructions in the environment, such as rocks, pillars, crates, etc. And they also talk about the new threat detection system for audio, which now analyzes all the active weapon sounds frame by frame and prioritizes them in threat order. So to make this easier to understand, for example, in past Halo games, they handled each gunfire's listening volume purely based on distance. So all the gun sound volumes were exactly the same if they were originating from the same distance. Say somebody is shooting right next to you, like a teammate, it's going to sound almost exactly the same as when you are shooting from a first-person perspective. Now, a result of this was having way too many loud gun sounds constantly overwhelming the player, which made it very difficult to detect true threat position. Now this all changes with Halo Infinite. So if a gunshot is aimed at a player in Halo Infinite, the sound will be louder. And if it's not aimed at a player, or if it's a teammate's gunfire, the sound is still audible but quieter, which then should result in a more immersive and exciting combat experience in Halo Infinite. And speaking on audio directional cues, for the first time in the series history, Halo Infinite will support virtual surround sound technologies like Dolby Atmos, Windows Sonic, and DTS Headphone X. Now, before we get into the music side of things for Halo Infinite, I want to share one more detail with you guys that really made me appreciate just how much effort goes into making a video game. So the audio team partnered with the graphics team to utilize the technology that they built for populating the environment. So they used this same system to procedurally place hundreds of thousands of audio emitters across the ring, and you guys could see from this screenshot here of just the area from the campaign gameplay demo from last year. All those little dots that you guys are seeing on the screen right now are all different audio cues. Now I will say I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't get any new music tracks in this audio update. However, they did go into what their themes and goals were for designing the original soundtrack for Halo Infinite. So they wanted to really capture brighter themes like hope and belief while embracing the mystery and beauty of Zeta Halo. The composer said that the original games also had dark elements in the stories, but the music largely focused on the brighter side, which worked very well. There's always a sense of hope, heroism, and confidence. So when it comes to the music in Halo Infinite, they believe that they should focus more on the brighter, positive themes to support the Chief's story and the player's experience. They wanted a new but not unfamiliar feeling when listening to the soundtrack. They wanted to welcome new players with the soundtrack, but for those who have been with with the series since the beginning and who love the series like they do, they wanted to give the feeling like they were welcoming us home. Now, I'm not your normal person, and maybe it's the Batman fan in me, but I like darker, depressing themes in a lot of my media, whether it be video games, movies, books, or music. And Heavy Price Paid is one of my favorite Halo tracks from the Halo 2 soundtrack because you really feel the emotion in that track, especially the timing of when it plays after the Arbiter is betrayed by the Prophets and by the Brutes. You really feel that betrayal in the music. So I hope there is still some dark and really emotional music in Halo Infinite. Now, they did talk about multiplayer music as well. We'll hear music when searching in matchmaking or the intro and outro screens of multiplayer matches, so those have been confirmed, but they're keeping the music to a minimum in the match itself to focus on clear and impactful combat audio. They also talked about our favorite Halo multiplayer announcer voice, Jeff Steitzer, and they did tease that we would see and hear new medals in Halo Infinite, including when you use the new grapple shot equipment to hijack a vehicle. 343 did name drop flighting once again in this blog post, and they said they are getting closer and closer to public flighting, so make sure you guys are signed up for the Halo Insider program. If you don't know how to sign up, I should be coming out with a video soon on how to sign up for that program. Now, I want you guys to take a listen to this. And that is the sound of a new brute weapon in Halo Infinite called a skewer. Now, this weapon actually first appeared in the Shadows of Reach book, and it is used as an anti-tank weapon employed by the banished brutes. The launcher fires a rocket-sized spike capable of piercing through the armor of a main battle tank or punch through the energy shields and titanium shell of Gen 3 Mjolnir armor. Now, this thing of course features a bayonet like much of the brute weaponry, and when used against infantry, the force of the projectile impact is so strong it will send the target flying back or knock them off of elevated surfaces. They could also be used as anti-air weapons, with the spikes capable of penetrating the armored cockpit of a Phantom dropship. Now, I don't know if this thing's gonna be that powerful in Halo Infinite, just taking down Phantom dropships, but this thing sounds absolutely amazing. And if Halo Infinite is rated M, can you imagine impaling Spartans like against a wall and just them being stuck to the wall with a huge spike sticking into their armor with blood splatter everywhere? That would be insane. Now, there was a lot of different audio samples in this blog post. I think I'm gonna do a separate video on that just so that this video doesn't go on too long. But as we always do at the end of every Inside Infinite breakdown video, we have arrived at the segment I like to call Staten's Statement. So the Halo Infinite head of creative, Joseph Staten, always gives us a nice little peek into the game and his experiences when playing it. This time he goes into deeper detail about that new audio threat detection system that I talked about earlier in the video. So he says earlier in the week he was playing the game with a focus on rescuing scattered squads of Marines from their banished captors. After one triumphant jailbreak, two high-spirited Marines piled into his Warthog and they sped jauntily down a dirt road into a forested valley, just as the morning sun was peeking through Zeta Halo's shattered arch. On cue, a hopeful piece of music began to play, and no joke, some of the ring's alien birds started chirping in the passing underbrush, which was of course when all hell broke loose. "Heavy weapon fire incoming," one of the Marines shouted. The rest of the world grew quiet, clearing the soundscape for a roar that erupted stereo right, the same roar that had been drilled into Staten's brain since Halo CE. A Spanker rocket coming towards him. He recognized it a split second before its familiar smoky contrail tore across the Warthog's hood and exploded against a tree to his left. And when there's one Spanker rocket, a second isn't far behind. He threw the Warthog into reverse, only to hear an unseen grunt yell, "Tossing a flare!" followed by the signature lump in your throat electronic chirp of a plasma grenade as it stuck itself to the bumper of the Hog. "Oh yeah!" another grunt quipped. "That human's gonna die today!" Cursing under his breath, he leapt from the Warthog and sprinted into the trees, followed by the Marines, just as the grenade burst, totaling the Warthog. A moment later, Spanker Rocket number 2 ripped a hole in the audio universe, and then thudded into the dirt and gravel at the edge of the tree line. As the debris clattered to the ground like a rocky rain, a jackal crowed in the distance. "Run, human, run! Hide! I'm gonna duct tape your beak shut!" one of the Marines barked back. While he appreciated the Marine's plucky retort, he wanted to tell him, yeah, here's the thing. Without audio threat prioritization, you, me, and your buddy hiding in that bush over there would all be cooked in a Spanker-fueled battlefield Fireball and respawning back in hopeful alien Birdland. But instead, he traded his sidekick pistol for the Marine's Bulldog shotgun, and they started moving stealthily through the trees to flank out banished ambushers and give them a taste of their own medicine. Reactive, character-rich dialogue has always been a hallmark of the Halo series, and it's sounding better than ever in Halo Infinite, Joseph Staten says. They've recorded thousands of lines for NPC dialogue that were designed to inform, amuse, celebrate, and taunt us, and I personally cannot wait to hear them because I love some of these lines already.